Welcome, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, to Weekend Rewind, episode number 7. It is, of course, St. Patrick's Day here. I think everywhere. I can't think of a country that doesn't observe St. Patrick's Day. It is a blustery kind of day here in Prince Edward Island. When I was outside to let the dog in, it was kind of snowing. So I think it's good. I like snow. We have our usual 3-man panel today. And we have a very special guest that will be joining us later on today, an inner-teaching competitor, if you would. So before we get to that, and before we get to our usual content, I want to introduce our panel. Joining us again, or joining us, he had a week out there. That is, of course, Caleb Mashed Potatoes. How are we doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah. Broke the streak, unfortunately, but I'm back, starting a new streak. We'll see how long I can go this time.
Absolutely. Joining us as well, he is starting his own streak. He has the 2-week streak. We'll see how well he can do. That is, of course, I guess now the greatest person in the world, or the best in the world. TM Smith. The best in the world.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great. Hopefully we can keep the streak going. Who knows? I don't really count streaks too much for it. It's just what it is. But yeah, it's great to be here for these. I love seeing these weekend rewinds and the magic you've been able to pull out of your fucking ass for these past ones have been great, Brooklyn. So yeah, can't wait for this one.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. So for anybody who was watching us, how our show works is that we go over our league's matches. Today we have 6, which is pretty cool. And then after that we go over the Showdown. There are 2 with the IG 5-way, and then Delta Dude versus Ben. And if anybody who's watching, we take your questions. Kind of shoot the shit. Very laid back approach with the show. So without further ado, let's kick it away. For the second week in a row, we go to TV trivia first. We have semifinal number 2. That is, of course, Mark, the Canadian Nightmare / Harley Quinn Bork, taking on Haven, the villain Pendergast. The winner will go on to take on Chance of Titan for the inaugural TV Trivia Championship. This one wasn't even close. I mean, to be blunt, it wasn't even close. Mark really dominating in round 2, capitalizing on steal opportunities from Haven, getting comedies, and then Mark even getting dramas, which he said wasn't his greatest category. Obviously, his would probably be animated or kids shows, but pulling some good guesses. I want to go to Tim, the creator and the host of that show. How did you feel about the performances?
Yeah, it was pretty bad for Haven's part. I don't know if maybe he just had an off day, because usually he's a lot stronger. So I don't know, maybe he just had an off day or what have you. But Mark, this is his second knockout in 3 matches, because he knocked out Nico to get into the tournament. Mm-hmm. He won against Subroth because Subroth wasn't available.
Our only submission loss.
And then he knocked out Haven, as we saw. But I mean, Mark has some strong performances, but now for him moving into this championship bout, I think this is going to be the best of that. But we'll see. This coming Sunday is when hopefully we are going to have it and crown our first TV champion.
Absolutely. Over to Caleb. Now that we have the final set in place, we have Mark taking on Chance for the championship. Obviously, Chance is currently our inner-teaching champion. How do you see this? How do you see this going? And what does this mean for, let's say, Jim and Haven? Do we have maybe another person in line for when the champion is crowned?
I mean, there's a few people that could certainly become a challenge once the championship is done. But in terms of what to look for in the championship, oh man, it's hard to root against Chance. But I'll continue to do it because he really, somebody needs to stop him before he gets another first ever thing. I don't want another first time double champion, and it's Chance. Of course, it's Chance because no, I don't want that. Nothing against Chance as a person. It's just like, man, it's annoying how much he wins. But I think Mark could have an edge here. I mean, 2 very strong performances and a submission win, which again, like, I think that's only ever happened against Subrath. It's
Yes.
so that's kind of impressive. But specifically the 2 knockouts, like, I mean, I don't think even Chance has that, like 2 full on knockouts. And in terms of the future, I think Jim is a very dangerous competitor in TV, and Haven could be again. I don't know what was up with him that day. He kind of seemed off that whole match, to be honest, and it showed in the gameplay because I mean he only scored 1 point in that entire match. It was not great. It was not good for a good look for the villain. So hopefully, he studies up and comes back a little stronger.
Yeah. And another challenger I think we all sleep on too. He couldn't because of personal reasons.
Oh yeah, Sandy.
Yeah,
Sandy is also very strong with TV, so
Kicked my ass
him
twice.
back in those returning matches. That's going to be dangerous because he's been on a roll since winning that free for all.
Absolutely.
I believe it's the only person who submitted one of those TV tournament brackets. I had Mark defeating Sandy, so I'm close to being like half right. I think if Sandy was able to compete, I think he would have beaten Jim and Chance. But yeah, things change, shit happens. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, guys, we're going to move into Monday. That is, of course, Music Mondays. Today, this is actually the last match before playoffs. We had a debuting player, Danny the Phantom Cost, taking on the Great Gonzo. And I wasn't sure how this match was going to be. Like on paper, I thought it was going to be a great Zach Ford dominated match, but I was proven wrong. Zach had a really weak round 1, scoring 1 point. Danny was able to score 5, which is deemed to be a bit above the average. And then he kind of took it the whole way. Round 2, they went 2007 for artists. And then it was that dastardly Katy Perry changed the entire outcome of that match. Had Zach not said Katy Perry first, he probably wins because the next 4 guesses that he had were all correct on the list. I want to go to Tim first as my co-host for that match. Were you surprised by Danny's performance, and how do you think this affects the playoff brackets for Jukebox Trivia?
Well, I think because like my music isn't always so skillful, I'm more amazed by everybody's performance in music because I am so horrible with it. It probably does because if you're expecting like Zach Ford to have another strong performance like before going in that match with Danny, and then Danny comes in and beats him as a debuting and gets a win, it kind of does change. It kind of changes that maybe confidence level of Zach's to see how he'll do in the future. And it gives you interesting new chemical mixture with Danny in that playoffs setup for music because, being an early league with that victory beating Zach, I think he has a spot in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Will that added extra flavor with Danny in there change it up to see who goes on, who doesn't in the playoffs?
Yeah, I will tell you right now that Danny will be taking over Kane's spot. Kane has dropped out because he I don't know, just not interested. And I don't blame him. He's a busy man. He's got shit to do and things to see, and just a young college kid.
Films to make.
Films to make. I think he has an opponent in Nico in terms of a season 2 opener. I think that one will be a pretty fun one. It may not be the highest scoring match, but it could be a goddamn entertaining one. Where you have we have Nico, who's like super boisterous, and Kane is just laid back, doesn't give two flying fucks about anything. I bring it over to mashed potatoes as somebody who's competed in Jukebox Trivia. What do you think was the bigger headline of this match? The rookie with a stronger performance, or did Zach drop the ball?
All right. So I think the bigger headline is for sure Zach Ford toppled by unknown competitor. Because I mean, he's been sort of talked up at until this point as like a real competitor, and I'm not saying he's not. Like you said, he could have won. I have a bit of a problem with that rule, seeing like as he still had mulligans left. But it's neither here nor there. I feel like mulligans should still count in the bonus round. That's just my 2 cents, and it would have changed the game very much so. But I think definitely the headline is that unknown commodity came in and beat one of the most talked about jukebox players. I think that's a big deal. So I think Danny's definitely here to stay in jukebox, and can't wait to see him compete. Like the guy knows is specifically stuff from the early 2000s. He knows.
Yeah, he knows his 2000s, and he knows his moderns. Like that 6-point question,
yeah.
I thought was pretty tough. Like in testing, I think one person might have got it, but yeah, he just got it right away. Regarding the round 2, that actually will be the last time that we'll be seeing that round 2 format. Whenever season 2 rolls around, a new format will be in place, similar to the wheel round, but it's going to be a little bit different, a little more music forward, and it'll still give the players to be able to pick from a handful as opposed to just spinning for about 8.
Okay.
So now that we have, I just kind of another quick question. The jukebox. Now that we sort of have our top contenders, who's the front runner? I think for the championship. Just kind of a quick response. Tim, who do you think is the front runner?
I don't know. I still think you have strong competitors because the highest scoring match we had was Grant and Luca both running wild with the Ramones, which that was fucking insane and great to watch at the same time as editing these matches. And that one was a pre-recorded that I got to watch and edit, and it was insane. Especially whatever you said, make sure you have a snack for that one. And I'm like, why? And you're like, just watch round 2. And oh my god, I would honestly push
all 30
for
minutes of round 2.
After that,
yeah.
I would push for one of them. And I know Caleb's strong in it too, but that was impressive with that match. But if neither one of them are in it, then I'd probably go Caleb.
Well, I will tell you right now that Luca will be in it. Grant, unfortunately, has dropped out for personal reasons, and we do wish him the best. I do hope that he competes in season 2. Maybe he gets back into the running with us. Caleb, who are your front runners?
All right. So the answer to that question, my front runners are it's got to be Luca is like the top one right now. He's on the top of the hill to beat. That round 2 was insane. I think the Atom could be up there, and I think Sandy also could be a serious contender. They both know their stuff. Again, music's kind of hard because you know what you know, and there's a lot of stuff to know. So those 3 seem like they have the broadest knowledge base. I feel like they could do it. But just to comment on the Grant thing for a little bit. Hopefully we see Grant back. Grant is a great competitor, and I don't know how to say it without being like a jerk, but guys, we do this. This is a game. It's for fun. We do that. Like, people talking crap is the reason that Grant left. That's all I'll say. But it's BS, and it shouldn't happen anymore. If it happens again, I will be very upset, and people will be booted because it's not cool. You do not run off one of our best players because no, that's just bull crap. It shouldn't happen ever.
I will echo the statements by Mr. Mashed Potatoes. I know the intentions weren't. I know there wasn't intentions to run him out of the league, but I mean, like this is a recreational league. We do this for fun. It's sad to see people. It's sad to see someone go because of those circumstances. But we just. What I would echo, or what I would try to say as well, if there's something that comes up, let us know. As runners and creators of our league, let us handle it, and then we'll get back to whoever it is that we have to.
Yeah, definitely don't go spreading it around and telling people that I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah. All right, guys. So with that, let's move on here to Movie Tuesdays. We had one of two people here, for the first of two matches was, of course, Malcolm the Crusher taking on JD, not the demigod. What's his nickname now? I forget. Fuck. What's his nickname?
I want to say. I don't know if that's
right. It's the male equivalent of an Amazon, and I can't remember what it is.
Okay, my apologies. I forgot that you changed your nickname.
I think it's Gamorrean. Gamorrean.
Yeah.
Well, you said male version of Amazonian. You mean Superman?
No.
Yeah. Anyways, with that being said, let's kind of get into the match here right quick. The Crusher going 7 of 8 in round 1, I thought was pretty gosh darn impressive. You don't really see that a whole lot. I don't think we might have had like 1 or 2 perfect rounds in MTS. And then in round 2, we got Natalie Portman. Malcolm was again able to hold his lead, and then getting the win by TKO. I want to go to Caleb first. What does this mean for Malcolm? What does this mean for Malcolm in the future? Who do you think his next opponent is going to be? And I know JD's just kind of coming back. What do you think? What do you think his next steps are in getting a match?
Okay, so I'll go last first. JD's what he has to do to get another match. Study, like I actually watch a lot of movies. Would be a good thing. Nothing against the former demigod. He's he's one of those people that is a recreational player, and it is what it is. In terms of like, I'm not going to talk bad about the guy, but in terms of Malcolm, he it was a strong performance, a winning by TKO. I can say it's not like super impressive because he was going up against kind of a weaker player. In the same way that people have talked about Ryan's 2-0 in Inner Geekdom because he played Hunter and Caleb Coho or somebody like it's so it's a little tough to say what his future looks like because he did play kind of a somebody who's like not even in his weight class, but despite that, it was a pretty dominant performance. In terms of like his score was pretty good. I don't remember the exact score, but he put up some good points. It was a fun match. Who should he play next? I could see him playing any of the new people, any of the like 1-0s. Any of them would be good. I could see him playing like a Ryan or a who else is good? Heck, even like I could see him playing Searath. It would be another fun one, assuming that he doesn't drop out of the call.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody who's 1-0, I think could potentially be a good matchup for him. Heck, maybe even Nicole sometime.
Yeah.
No, she's
yeah.
2-0 now though.
Oh yeah. And actually, Nicole, I'm just noticing the chat here. We have Nazario, Nico, and Jessica, and I believe Jessica is the next opponent for Nicole. But more on that later. Tim, over to you. What are your thoughts on the match? And with Malcolm going 7 of 8 in round 1, do you think that was a one-time thing, or is that something that we should be expecting more of him for some more dominant round 1 performances?
I mean, he knows what he knows, and Malcolm has his movie knowledge. I'm not gonna knock the guy for that, but I look at it for a whole for any league, because I was such a wrestling fan, brought into all this. For a league, you can't just have your heavyweights and what have you. You got to have all different classes to really build an interesting division, and in time it gives you that. You might have a shitty start, maybe a good story would be building on top of that. Like I don't know, let's look at hell for wrestling, like a John Cena starting off as some no-name person, comes in, builds an image for himself. Maybe JD can do that, but Malcolm is a strong competitor for movies. He knows his stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he got maybe another 7 of 8 or hit a perfect round. He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it comes down to, if you get what you know, you're going to do good. And he had a very good game against JD. So, I don't know if he'll carry that on. We'll see. But he had a very good game against JD.
So if Malcolm is John Cena, then who would be his Kurt Angle?
Oh God, I'd have to look back at his matches. I wouldn't say no. I wasn't saying like Malcolm was John Cena. I was saying like maybe JD could build maybe build on top of that and become better and become great over time. Like that would be a good story to see.
I got you. Yeah,
but he has to get the knowledge. He has to. I don't know, hit the movie reels or something. But he has to get the knowledge to build back up. And then maybe you can see him as maybe a middle or top contender in the future once he gets some knowledge behind him. That's what I was going with, Caleb.
Yeah. All right, guys. So with that, we move on to the second half, the headliner, I guess, where we had the queen of the NWO, Nicole Morris, taking on, like I said in the match, the seasoned veteran Hunter Chambliss. In a closer match than I anticipated. Nicole did obviously, or not obviously, but got her first win over Jim Green, then got Hunter. They got Hunter for her second opponent. Did get the win via TKO. Matt Damon was their actor in round 2. They each got six points, but unfortunately Hunter missed. He gets Gili. Then, of course, the Benifer bomb, and then Hunter losing the match on a Jaws question. So I think classics, not even classics, but it's like 70s would be one of his weaknesses. But understandably, he's a young kid. I think he's just out of high school, maybe like 20 years old. Caleb, as one of the OG people here at Jukebox Trivia, you've got to see Hunter compete many a time. You've seen the NWO with their dirty ways and their darted actions. What does this mean for the NWO? Like they now have a win, so we can't call them no win,
never win organization.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think that as a majority, the no win organization is still an accurate name for them. Just because they recruited somebody immediately after she won doesn't mean that you get to count that as your wins as a team. But this was a good match. I was impressed with Hunter. I was a little bit disappointed because I'm pretty sure that he's reviewed Jaws on his channel. And that was a kind of an obvious person, but nothing against Hunter. He gets enough crap as it is without me adding to it. But he put on a good show for being. Yeah, he did better than anybody would have given him credit for, I think. And in Matt Damon, that was just sad. I hung my head. There were so many actual just sequels that he was in that they left on the table.
Yeah,
things that that they had mentioned.
Yeah,
they definitely didn't do the Bourne Ultimatum. Was one of them that they didn't say, and I think they left in Oceans on there too.
Yeah, they left the Green Room on there as well, the unofficial.
Yeah. Yep.
The unofficial Bourne sequel. Yeah, over to Tim. What are your thoughts? I'm sure there's something just boiling up there.
More NWO shenanigans. I get tired of hearing it. It's you have the mouthpieces of Haven and Caleb, and before Nicole came around, it was basically Haven winning to have a name for it because his little sock puppet of Coho couldn't get the job done. JD couldn't get the job done for him. He talks more and more about more and more people joining him, and like what Caleb said, you have Nicole comes in, wins a match, and then gets recruited into him, and just falls in line with their shenanigans. Like, I'm sorry for this match. It shouldn't have been Hunter and her. It should have been Jess and her. And I can't wait to see that one next week. And I'm rooting for the vicious trollop herself to just come in with her red wine glass and smacketh down on the queen. But
that match is going to be fun as hell. Thank God I caught that on the chat. That you're like, oh yeah, I'll take on Nicole, because now it's going to be one of the most anticipated matches, like in the coming weeks.
It's going to be so good. I cannot wait.
Yeah,
because Nicole's going 2-0 into this. Jessica's 1-1 now. It's going to be good, and I think Jessica's gonna come out with the win.
Yeah, I think with Jessica too. Like, everybody sees her as this kind of laid back person. If you get her like whenever Ed and I defeated her and Jen in Jukebox Trivia, you get her pissed off. She can cut a pretty good heel promo. I'd be curious to see if you got onto that level of pissed. What the trash talking would be like. I think it would be pretty interesting.
I think they know better than to piss her off. I would hope.
Yeah, but just don't mention movie release dates or box office, and you are fine.
Yeah.
Also, just but I'll say, when has Caleb Coho ever known when to shut his mouth? Never.
The answer to
never.
That.
So I feel like Jess will get riled up. Hopefully she doesn't go heel. I like her as the righteous hero, but I wouldn't mind seeing her get riled up and start shooting it back at the queen, because I'll say this about the NWO: they're experts at slinging vitriol.
Yeah.
So
I think these are some givens. NWO's good at shit talking. Caleb Coho never shuts his mouth. Don't ever mention movie release dates around Jessica. And Caleb Coho never shuts his fucking mouth. But
thankfully, Jess is in the chat joining us, and she has responded. You do not want to see her angry. So I think that'd be yeah. I'd be curious to see what happens.
I'd be the one person that would like to see her angry. I'm the guy who keeps egging on the Hulk. Let's do it.
Yeah. So with that, guys, that moves us into to Inner Geekdom Thursdays. We had another 2 matches. A certain undercard, I guess, as some question writers and some hosts, maybe even somebody who was on the panel that competed. Tim, how'd that match go? That Tim versus Cade match. Can you just give us like a detailed elaboration on that match? Maybe like what you got in round 2, how your round 1 performance is, how many points you scored.
One, I want to say this. Fuck you, Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Fuck you as hard as I can. And the overall match, it was
as hard as you can.
You're going into this with two behind the scenes question writers, so we've seen them all, we know it, and we're having Caleb basically his hardest to stump both of us, and round 1 proved it. Round 2, Kane should have done better with MCU. I was staying away from Marvel, hoping to hit like Star Trek, Star Wars, or Middle Earth. So I took the second spin. Of course, I knew it was going to bend me over and fuck me in the ass. And it did. But he went with scores and soundtracks. And surprisingly, he knows better than even Caleb or anybody here knows. My weakest is Harry Potter. I'm surprised he didn't go for the full knockout by going Harry Potter. I don't know if maybe Kane had a brain fart or the stock footage froze in the internet connection. I don't know. But he went scores and soundtracks, and I was at least able to pull some points off. And then I had a brain fart in round 3 and fucked myself with the 2 towers. So it was my match to lose, but both of us were kind of low performance with that one. So Caleb, good job on the questions to stump us, because I know you wanted to do that and you did it. Oh, I gotta wait now for a time to get back in there, but I can't wait to get back in the actual ring itself. So, but it was a good undercard match, regardless, with 2 guys behind the scenes getting in there, and this gives Kane another win. Now he's 2-2. Granted, he didn't move up any rankings, but it gives him another win.
Yeah. Over to Caleb. You were the host and the question writer. I knew I threw in some questions there for you, and they did get used in the scores and soundtracks.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this on the sort of behind the scenes match?
I will say it was a huge pain in the butt to write for these guys. I know their strengths. I tried to have a nice varied round 1 in there, but it's so tough to write for the writers. For question writers, like they know so much, and so maybe I upped the difficulty of the questions a little more than I should have.
Gee, you think?
But it's really tough to gauge, where you should put the questions for writers. These guys know their stuff. I definitely made MCU a little harder, but at the same time, look, I've reorganized all of my used questions. That I have a file of used questions, and I went through all of them to make sure that I didn't repeat any questions. That there were that I asked about movies that hopefully hadn't had as many questions asked, things like that. I worked really hard on this match, like way harder than I should have probably. And I had a lot of fun. I know they didn't have as much fun, because they were tough questions, and there were a couple in there that I know they're kicking themselves that they didn't get. Like Kane specifically with the Thor Ragnarok question. I know he's not happy about that. But overall, it was a good match. Like Tim said, he just if he had hit that movie, the game wouldn't have been over. He could have played longer. Unfortunately, he picked the wrong movie. Obviously he knew the scene, he knew the actor, he knew the character, placed it in the wrong movie, unfortunately, and that's kind of kind of what happens. That's kind of the beauty, and also like the like assholeness of round 3 is that you do have to hit like all 3. You have to know the movie. You have to be familiar with it. So it could happen to anybody, but at the same time, I had a lot of fun. I thought it was a good match, and I thought they both did well. And surprisingly, with scores and soundtracks, I don't think anybody expected Tim to only give up 1 point steal in scores and soundtracks. Like, no offense to Tim, it's just that's I think there's 3 or 4 people that know scores and soundtracks well, and Kane's one of them. So I think that was his strategy going into it, but Tim managed to foil his strategy pretty well in that round, and I'm proud of him. But yeah, I was also surprised that he didn't go Harry Potter, because why would you not go Harry Potter when it's Tim?
Yeah. I mean, the
most vocally hating Harry Potter person.
like almost Jeff Snyder level of like fuck Harry Potter. I've never heard him say fuck scores. I mean, everybody says fuck scores and soundtracks, but no one singular person is like scores and soundtracks is awful.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, like, I don't mind scores and soundtracks, and like I said, Caleb, you had a task ahead of you, because like when we went over after we got done and we tested more of the questions me and Kane did, and I was hitting Star Trek, Star Wars, and Middle Earth, surprisingly. Like, if I would have got those, round 2 would have been completely fucking different.
Well, I mean, and that's the same story with the DCEU, like all those comic questions.
Oh, Kane, yeah.
Kane went like almost perfect on those 3 categories. So he just, I mean, but if you think about it, also, we've used MCU in the last 3 or 4 matches in round 2. People have stuck with MCU. So that it's kind of one of those things where the well gets a little dry and you have to go a little harder with it.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, with both me and Kane, with all of us doing questions, you have to make them A, ones we don't know, and B, you do have to raise the stakes, because we know our shit when it comes to Kane with scores and soundtracks, DC and DCEU, and mine with MCU, Star Trek, Star Wars, Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And you have to up the game. And yeah, I was surprised I did so well with scores and soundtracks. Like, thank you, Jerry Goldsmith, Star Trek, for saving my fucking ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game. Like I said, I want to have to probably wait a while to get back in, because that's how we do things. But yeah, get me back in there, and I think it's going to be a different story for whoever you want to drum up against me.
All right, guys. So with that, let's go into our last match of the day, and then after this one, our guest is going to be joining us in. If you're watching, shoot down in the chat who do you think it's going to be. The hint was it is somebody that has competed in Intergeekdom. So that could be anybody. It could be Jason Inman, Jay Washington, Robert Meyer Burnett. It could be Ashley V. Robinson, or who else is like just one-off competed in IG.
Emma Fife.
Emma Fife.
Oh God.
What's her name? Who was the third person in Nerds Watch? Michelle Boyd.
Yep.
Yeah, she could easily be a next person.
Oh yeah, she did. She competed in a 5-way. I forgot.
Yeah, she competed in a 5-way. So with that, guys, let's get.
Could be Dorian Parks.
Could be Dorian Parks. Jimmy could be
Jamie Costa.
Jamie Costa. I was gonna say
Jessica Morgan, but
fingers crossed for Jamie Costa. Let's
that would be sick. So with that, guys, let's get into Sandy versus RJ. This is, of course, the winner of this match goes on to take on Robert, who will then be the number 1 contender to take on Chance. And what a doozy of a match! I thought this one was pretty fun. RJ, of course, being the very Makuga-esque competitor that we've grown to love, pulling answers out of his ass and getting them right. though Sandy did get the win. Like they said, like they said in the match in round 3, had they swapped the questions, so RJ would have gotten that last Magneto quote. But I want to go to Caleb first. What were your thoughts on the match overall? And should Robert be scared of Sandy?
I think everybody should be scared of Sandy. Sandy's a proven beast in this league. He's in every division. He's proven to be at least a threat, if not a like number one competitor quality player. He's great, and I think he definitely does have some strengths where I don't know that I would say that Robert has weaknesses so much as he has less strength, like certain categories. But at the same time, I don't know that he's ever given up much ground to Robert. I think these are two of the most well-rounded Inner Geekdom players that we have. So either way, I think Chance should be incredibly nervous. Chance, despite being a strong player, I feel like luck was on his side a lot. So with these two coming for him, literally anything could get hit, and Robert and Sandy could still potentially win. Like, it doesn't matter if they hit their weaknesses or if Chance gets his, like, either of them could easily win. They're both incredibly well-rounded. I don't have any picks coming out of this, but for this match, it was a knockdown drag-out battle. From two of the nicest guys ever. So that was fun. And that I don't know, that final score I feel like was a little underwhelming for their like return to form, but it's certainly, they both played above average in this league, and I think if it was me, I'd be nervous playing either of them. Like RJ, Sandy, I'd be nervous.
All right, guys.
RJ is probably the luckiest person alive. I'll just say that too.
Yeah.
RJ is probably, like, in terms of just luck always favoring him. He's got a horseshoe up his ass or something.
Yeah. Speaking of RJ, I want to ask Tim this question. With RJ's loss, I know he had kind of talked about. I guess he promised Mark Bork a match after he got through the required matches to get to Sandy. Is there any leads on that match happening? Does Mark or RJ have to go through other opponents so that they can get to him? And is that, yeah? What are your thoughts on that potential of a match?
I mean, yeah, as a potential of a match, it would be interesting, but with season 2 and the whole ranking system, you have to look at the rankings to see how they shape up, where they shape up, how you could potentially do that. So it's just a matter of how to work that out. I know they promised that match that's who they would each face next, and then of course Mark cheated on RJ with Caleb Coho as his new man toy that he is obsessed with, that he can't get enough of. So I don't know if you could do like a jilted lovers angle for that match, but with Mark now obsessed with Caleb Coho, very weirdly and scarily so. I worry for you, Mark. I have a number for a addiction hotline. Give it a call. They can help you out with that. But I mean, you could maybe see it down the hallway, or some ideas we have of maybe like rivalry matches for specialties coming down the line in a few months. Maybe you could see like RJ and Mark finally close their rivalry, which is more one-sided because Mark gets gets obsessed with somebody, and we see what happens. Like, he was obsessed with Kane, he was obsessed with RJ, he's obsessed with Coho, and I know this, and I say this because I'm his tag team partner. I've been around him long enough to know this is how he gets, and this is what happens. So
I mean, but to be fair, RJ was the one doing the calling out this time, so.
Well, yes, he did the call out this time, but I think it was more an obligation. I don't think, because even he said, he's like, they're the ones obsessed with me, you know.
Yeah.
And my only beef is I just want to try not erase that Power Rangers loss, because, you know, he came out, he played, he won. I mean, I'd at least like to get a win over him, maybe an inner geekdom myself, but I'm not gonna hound the guy for the next 6 months like other people do, but you could eventually see it down the line. But there's talks of it, but we'll see how that comes later down the line with everything that's going on, to answer that question, so we can move on and find out what surprise Brooklyn pulled out of his ass this time.
All right.
Well, just like I wanted to say a couple more things. We are currently working on shuffling things to potentially make that happen, but there's, you know, planning for the future. I think like 50 to like 70% of the time we have a plan for what's going to happen in the future, and then something changes and we have to change it up. So I think that would be we're trying to make it work. And also I think the far more satisfying match would be Tim versus RJ. It'd be a lot of fun to see that happen.
I would
since
love that
rivalry jumped open.
Yeah, I would love that. I think it would be a good rivalry, but like I said, Mark, there's a hotline for an addiction. I want to send it to you. You need help, my friend. But yeah, there's works of it down the line. And like Caleb said, we have plans. Sometimes we have to rework them. It's the nature of the beast. I mean, hell, look at the Showdown. They have to do the same thing all the time, and we're doing it with like 5-6 matches weekly. So it's kind of, you just have to focus around to see what you can get. But I think that's it for this. Brooklyn, I mean, see what surprise you did, how many houses you sold.
I mean, I used my Canadian voodoo magic. I had some leftover Canadian tax money, and we have of course Taylor Robinson, the Robin Robinson, joining us today. Of course, she just competed Tuesday in the Inner Geekdom. So welcome to Jukebox Trivia.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it was great. Haven Pendergast was able to get a hold of you. I know you were supposed to compete in our league with Janine the Boss, but then things changed, and you guys got a call up to the big leagues. You got to compete in the Collider stage, and then we're actually going to be talking about the match that you participated in right off the bat. That is, of course, guys, the Inner Geekdom 5-Way. We had our very special guest Taylor Robinson taking on Dorian Parks, Alana Jordan, the Bachelor Jared Habon, and Jamie Costa of Vine fame. In a match that I think was pretty good. Habon did have, I think he had an edge, maybe in like having, maybe he was more so comfortable with the camera. I don't think we got the best performances out of all of the competitors. I think if they had more time just to be camera friendly or be more used to the camera, and like had they maybe competed on here or something, or competed like just on paper, I think it would have been a lot better. I would like to see this match again, maybe, but I want to go to our special guest Taylor. You were there. You watched the whole thing go down. What were your thoughts, and what were your thoughts on your performance overall?
It was interesting. All of us spent a lot of time talking to each other before we actually filmed the match, and everyone was super, super nervous. We were all just trying to pump each other up and be like, it's going to be all right. I know we're all really nervous about this, but together, and it's going to be fun. And it was fun. It was a fun time. I'm still pretty disappointed in performance, and I've been trying to not kick myself about it because there's nothing I can do about it now. But yeah, it was a little intimidating to go out there and know that there are going to be tens of people that watch it and judge you based on that one performance because they've never seen you before. But it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the experience.
Absolutely. Awesome. I'm gonna kick it over to our panel, Caleb, as our IG head honcho. What were your thoughts on these performances? And obviously, with Jared Habon getting four TKOs.
Yeah.
How do you think he fares against Mark Donica?
Interesting. Keep throwing these like multiple questions at me. First, I want to say, hey Taylor, it's been a while. Nice to see you again. It was a lot. It was great seeing you play on there. I know you're kind of beating yourself up there. I watched your reaction, and you were not very happy with yourself. But I mean, coming up in 11 points in a game where Jared won with 17, like there's nothing to be ashamed about. It was, especially being as nervous. I mean, the guy's a known celebrity, whereas you're coming from the reaction league and doing reactions. I thought you acquitted yourself very handily. It was a lot of fun to watch. But in terms of the match in general, I think I've got a couple notes here. I feel like the players, when they come back, I want to see them all back because I feel like nerves was the main problem with this match, or even not even problem, but like what happened. It was a pretty low scoring match for some of these players, and you could tell even with just coming out doing their entrances, a few of the players didn't seem very confident, and it kind of worked through. I think Lights had a big effect on a couple of the players. It was really nice seeing the Beast at the desk. That was cool. Seeing him announcing the match, that was a lot of fun. Like his chemistry with Christian is awesome. I'm glad they developed that. That was a lot of fun. And I think I need to have a talk with Skaliski because I think he's stealing some of my IG questions.
Interesting. So one of the notes that I did have in that was in round 2. Taylor did obviously get her strength in Harry Potter. So maybe I know with Tim just recently competing in an IG match, Taylor, maybe you could teach Tim some Harry Potter questions. Maybe you go through the basics. What are the 4 houses in Hogwarts? What is Dumbledore's first name? Basic stuff. We don't want to scare him away now. Tim, I do of course go to you. What were your thoughts on the match? And if you could see another, take Jared Habon out of the frame. If you have the remaining 4 competitors, if you could have a singles match in IG, who would you have first and why?
One, Brooklyn, you always have to take your shots when I have to try to keep it clean when we have professionals on. So me and you will have words after this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really think because I'm more of a fan of, instead of having like 5 ways, you could have had a good many a singles debut with all of these people. You could have had like a singles debut and then maybe a triple threat, because each of them, they know their strengths and they have their strengths. Like, of course, Taylor had Harry Potter. I am absolutely horrible. The only thing I could tell you about Harry Potter is Daniel Radcliffe played Harry Potter. That's it.
Cliff. So, Cliff.
Whatever. I'm staying away from Harry Potter. I'm sorry. But it was a good showing from all of them. I was surprised to see Jamie Costa there, of all things. Like, it was interesting to see JB's chemistry with it. And I kind of noticed, because Taylor was sitting beside him, I kind of noticed like some of his answers, Taylor wanted to just laugh out loud and lose her shit. I could tell. But I think you could have more of these people in individual matches to really strengthen Inner Geekdom to really build on top of it. And it was a good showing. Like The Bachelor had a great showing. I was surprised how well he did. It's going to be interesting if he goes, because he's going on to face the winner of our last 5-way. It's going to be interesting because he did good, but I want to see how both of these do together, because both of these have different skill sets, and it's gonna be like a colliding force. Like, I can't wait to see that match.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, you mentioned how like Jamie Costa there doing his multiple impressions. Taylor, you of course the opportunity to hang out with him. Take away Robin Williams. Like, that impression is obviously, I think, is his best. What was his funniest impression? Like, maybe like an Ian McKellen, a Matthew McConaughey. Like, what was the one that like made you burst?
It would probably have to be his Ian McKellen, honestly, if we're not talking Robin Williams, because of the setting we were in with Inner Geekdom, it was pretty funny hanging out with him.
Yeah. That would be cool. If you could pick somebody, like, out of those four, if you could pick somebody just to play heads up, who would you want?
Oh, that's a really good question. Any of them again, but I guess if I had to pick, I'd kind of like to play Dorian in a one-on-one match. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
you guys seemed pretty well I mean, you were tied going into round 3, 9 apiece. Like, that would be a good match. I feel like you guys would line up in terms of strengths and weaknesses pretty well. That'd be a fun match.
Yeah, so that covers Tuesday. But before we get into Friday's match, I know technically on March 15th, there was the Showdown Live event. That was, of course, a doubleheader. The Wildberries taking on Real Rejects, and, of course, AT versus Roka. I know myself, Timothy, and Caleb did not make it, but I believe a panelist, according to Facebook and Instagram and all the other cool social medias, was there. I'm sure you can't spoil the match because it will be going up live later. But if you could compact your night of S1 Live in one or two sentences, how would you do it?
Oh man, the live show, an incredible success. People that turned out, it was incredible to hang a community like that with so many of us together to support something we love so much. Both of the matches were insane. Like, people are going to freak out about both of them because they were so much fun and they were so crazy. And it really, really makes me feel like these events, because it just worked out so well, and I'm so excited for people to see them.
Awesome. We'll get into Friday's match. That is, of course, Dale the Dude taking on I think Ben the Boss. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ben the Boss.
When I mentioned Janine earlier. I said Janine the Boss. She's actually Janine the Machine. Again, yeah. I want to thank Royal Reserve for making my bad decisions today. Of course, it is St. Patrick's Day. I figured I might have a drink on stream. So before we get into that match, there are we'll be taking some questions from the chat. We got a full panel today. Just off the top of my head here, I see Ryan, Grant Gregory, Chris Woodburn. We see Jonathan Peck. I'm not sure who you are, but welcome. Nazario Montenegro. I saw Sean in there. Kane was here, but he went to work. Just Morgan. Of course, the Cosmic Night Fury himself, Nico Suave, our goalie. So if you guys have any questions, throw them down in the chat, and we'll get to them after the match. With Friday's match, we had, of course, Dale the Dude taking on Ben Bateman. And what I thought was a really good yin and yang. Dale the Dude was obviously this face, like that very homegrown kind of approach. Very, like you've seen recently with Taylor and Janine, you have this these reactors really making their presence in the Showdown. Some being successful in Janine, some being unsuccessful, unfortunately. But I thought Dale had great presence. Of course, as well, when he came out, he was introduced with John Roca, getting the support from the former champion himself, and then Ben Bateman having like one of the funnest heel entrances ever. Like, wasn't super flashy, wasn't visual effects. But it was just like, he just put out the name tag and the picture of himself, the mirror, just really embracing it. And I thought that was one of the coolest parts about him. Tim, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the match in general? Of course, guys, Ben Bateman did get the win. What do you think? I know in round 2, Ben Bateman got Oscars. I was kind of surprised considering Sandra Bullock was on the wheel and Sandra Bullock was listed as one of his strengths. What do you think about Ben Bateman in the future?
I think just because you list something as your strength, you kind of hide other strengths you have just to kind of throw off your opponent. Maybe it was interesting to see him rip off the Boss Baby with coming in as Ben the Boss Bateman. But I mean, you can see now with his 1-0 win, he can move up those rankings as he so loves to talk as a heel gimmick that never stops. I mean, granted, he hasn't tackled anybody like his in-prison tag team partner who hasn't been released yet. We're still waiting on the full pardon, I guess. But it's interesting to see where you could face him or who you could see him face next, moving up the rankings to eventually get that title shot that he's also wants, but he needs some more wins behind him. Maybe eventually you could see him play, I don't know, you could see him play Bibiani, you could see him play a JTE, you could see him play Rachel Cushing, you can see him work his way up there. Now to see how he would do against them, that's going to be when we see it, to see how he does. But you'll see him move up, and I'm sure we'll see Dale the Dude back now that he's an official entrant into the movie Trivia Showdown. So eventually we'll see more of him, but you can see Ben Bateman rise. I don't know who you could potentially put him next. I'd have to see the rankings to see any ideas, but you'll see him move up regardless with that win over Dale.
I want to kick it over to Caleb next. Your thoughts on the match, and I know you were a reactor as well. You and Taylor being in the Fan Reaction League. Who do you think is the next reactor? Yeah, who is the next reactor you think to make the jump up?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I'm going to talk about the match first, and then so I can think about about that answer. So the match was awesome. I think the Dale's entrance with Roca and with the Back to the Future theme was awesome. The smack talk was like on a whole nother level, especially because I mean you know that Dale's good at talking fast and saying a lot of words, but he had some pretty pointed like jabs at Ben Bateman that were not necessarily uncharacteristic, but surprising to me. I thought that pre-match interview or promo, whatever you want to call it, was pretty awesome on both sides. It was a lot of fun. This was a really good match. They neither of them really hit like strength in round 2, but I mean 9-15, it's pretty great. And I will say that like 15 points seems to be like the average winning score now. So I'd like to see him against any of the people that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, because that's right on par with all of those performances of like 15-9 with a TKO. Like that's a pretty impressive way to come out and start off this season for Ben Bateman.
I
forgot about your question. I think that in terms of the people reactors, I see. there's a difference between like reactors and then the people that play in the reaction league. But I feel like Nazario would be a good one to call up if he ever comes to the States. The guy's Nazario Montenegro from the Fan Reaction League. He's consistently one of the top players in the Fan Reaction League, and he's got a great personality. He's a good guy to talk to. He does like chat shows on Full Metal a lot of the times whenever he's free. He does. He's a solid competitor in everything I've seen him play in. I feel like he would have a good shot if he ever wanted to, and came to the States to play in the Showdown.
Yeah, for sure. If he ever came up, I think that would be pretty cool. I think he has the charisma as well. I think like that's like almost Eddie Guerrero-ish. Like he's not a heel, but he isn't really a face. Like he can throw in some shit talk every now and then. I want to kick it over to Taylor now. Your thoughts on the match, and what do you think about the dude? He did obviously, he got 2000s for his category. Round 3, I'm trying to remember the questions that he got. But it was a TKO. Do you think this match is closer on paper if he gets that strength of family films?
I really do. I've spent a lot of time talking to Dale. We drove out there together for the match. I was there. His headspace was at during that match, and he really could have done it if he would have gotten a strength, and Bateman wouldn't have got choice again, because Bateman somehow always gets spinner's choice. And yeah, it was a little disappointing to see that that's how things shook out, because just trivia with Dale, and we know what our skill level is, and that wasn't really an accurate display. But it was just kind of one of those things where the wheel was not in his favor this time. But I really do, if we see him back, which I hope that we do, a lot stronger of a showing next time.
Yeah. I think the score was 6-5. So I think even like Dale is definitely not a slouch. He knows his stuff, and like he was confident in some of those round 1 answers. I think it might be just like another match. Like I think another good opponent for him might be like a Cody Hall, or even like I think a Bonnie Somerville would be kind of cool. Both people that are very confident, and they have different approaches to the game. So I think that would be interesting as well. So that covers all of the matches. That covers the Showdown and the league. We're gonna get into some questions. I got a couple of them here, and the first one we have today comes from the Hunter Ryan Permisson. He got this one in pretty early, and his question is: who would you cast in a live-action Carmen Sandiego film, and why?
Wow.
Yeah, Taylor. Are you familiar with Carmen Sandiego, and who would you cast? Because I'm drawing a blank here.
You don't know Carmen Sandiego?
I've seen her like once. I played the game for maybe 10 minutes.
Oh, you guys.
I mean, I know who that is, but you're gonna have to give me a second. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was a game show in the 90s. It was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
It was a cartoon.
Animated.
Fox weekends too.
She had the red hat and like the red coat, right? Yep. I remember playing it on PC. Like I played it on PC when I was 6 for like maybe half an hour.
So like long brunette hair. You never saw this eye because her hat was always covering it. Red floppy hat and red like overcoat. And she was a master thief who had a criminal organization all throughout the world that little kids were brought in by Acme Industries and had to solve her crimes. That's everything I've got about Carmen Sandiego.
So I'll throw out a name here.
And there was the chief that was always like, "Hello, gumshoes."
Yeah. So now that I have like an idea of like just the kind of personality. I think that would go well with her. I'll throw out a name, just kind of get the ball rolling. I think Anne Hathaway would be a good choice. She's proven with Selena Kyle that she has like that very stealthy kind of seductive kind of approach to things. She could be a very mysterious thing, or sorry, it could be a very mysterious character, not thing. Sorry. Another one, I think Emily Blunt, but I think she's played roles similar to that previously. It might be a worry of her being typecast. Julia Roberts, if they want to go older, I think that would also be kind of cool.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. Tim, we haven't heard from you in a while. Who do you think?
One, Ryan, you're my friend. We have a love of Power Rangers. My God, you picked the most obscure cartoon series of them all.
Not that obscure. Oh my gosh.
It really was compared to what else was on around it, Caleb. I'm sorry. I'm the big TV buff here. It's my opinion, and damn it, I'm sticking to it.
Guess you never watched PBS. I got it.
Leave PBS out of this. But honestly, I mean, even just thinking back of it now, get Peggy Carter, get her to play Carmen Sandiego, and do it as a TV series, as a live action TV series, and keep that Scooby-Doo young kid gang like the cartoon had, which that was my biggest complaint with that. Like, really, 2 kids are taking on a criminal organization. Come on now. But I mean, honestly, just even seeing stills from Peggy Carter from seasons 1 and 2, you could see she has the look for it, and she could pull it off. But that's just my opinion for it. Taylor, do you have any guess now that we gave you a little bit of time?
Guess not. My picks for like younger would be definitely maybe it's just because she's fresh in my mind, but I think Alicia Vikander would be a really good pick for a younger version of her. So like if we were going like the origin of Carmen Sandiego and her like setting up her criminal network and doing heists, I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, they've kind of already like a little bit cast Sandra Bullock as her in the new Ocean's 8, which I could actually see her being like a Carmen Sandiego type, but she definitely fits the look. If you just gave her the outfit, I feel like it would work. But yeah, you know, she's already done a Master Thief thing, so I'd edge it towards the younger coming up story, and I'd pick Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, Taylor. Now that you've heard a couple different actors, just kind of some thought processes. Who do you if you had to cast, who do you think it'd be?
I would cast Gina Rodriguez. Actually, now that I think about it, I've seen her pop up a lot, and I really feel like she's kind of starting to come into her own, and I think she could be really interesting in that role. I'd like to see what she would do with it.
Yeah, it's really
Sure. That's a good pick. I definitely wouldn't have thought of her.
Yeah, definitely one that went right over my head. Before we get to our next question, guys, we have a run-in from our movie trivia champion. That is, of course, a comic book guy, Grant Gregory. Grant, how are we doing, man?
Woo!
I'm doing really well, guys. What's going on? How's everyone been?
Not much. We're just answering some questions here, shooting the shit. I understand that you kind of have a little announcement to make, and I'm not sure. Not actually. I'm not even sure what it's about. So go ahead, whatever you want.
All right, buddy. Well, basically, what I was doing, I was going to put out a challenge to a certain person in the league, someone who I think is good enough to beat me, someone who has beaten me, and someone who I've already beaten. So my challenge is I want Sean Sandberg to face me in a title match for the movie Trivia Showdown Championship. My brother, my partner in my league because I could not think of anyone who is better than me and than the person that's made me get the title than Sean, and that's who I want.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. So that happened.
Yeah.
Definitely was not expecting that.
Taylor, to kind of fill you in here and to give you some information, I'm not sure if you follow our league at all, but Grant is our movie champion. He is in a team league. He's in our team league with Sean Sandberg, and Sean is great on his own. But now I never thought they would compete against each other. This is pretty fucking crazy. I know Grant just got the champion he just got the belt a couple weeks ago, but now he's right back into things. I think we should be getting a response here from Sean pretty soon. I don't think on this video.
I ain't sharp dying, Brooklyn. You know that. You got to be the best. If you want to be the best, you got to take on the best. I beat the best for it, and I've got to defend it against the best. And Sean is the best in this league, hands down, without a doubt. And that being said, it's also the reason why I also want to put up a secondary challenge. I want to have a match, a triple match, me, Sean Sedberg, and Nazario versus any 3 people in this league in a team match.
Okay. A 3-on-3 match.
3-on-3. You name who. You find out how we can do it any given stage. That's fine. Nazario was my original partner, and Sean was my secondary partner. And you know what? I think together we could make a really good force between us.
All right.
Absolutely. Holy crap. That would be epic. Holy cow. So an open challenge thrown out there from our movie trivia champion. Wow. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. First, I know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of confused here for some reason. Taylor Robinson just dropped the call. I'm not sure why. I'm just trying to get a hold of her. Maybe your connection was bad or something, or I'm just trying to get a hold of her. With that being said, guys, while I figure this out, I'm going to throw out the next question here, and we'll see.
Let's get Tim's thoughts on this challenge real quick first, while you try to figure this out, and then we can. Because we definitely should comment on this development. Hey, Grant, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Also, that's some crazy matches. I never saw Sean come in. At least not until he had one more match scheduled, I believe. And then I think he would have been right there on your heels. With his, if he won his next match, he would have been 4-0. So absolutely would have been in that title contention. But that'll be a match for the ages. I can't wait to see that. And then
between us, between us, we both beat each other once and lost to each other once. So it's also a little bit of a personal grudge match between ourselves. He's beaten me once, I've beaten him once. So let's just see what happens. And if it's because it's for the title, why not? Let's have a bit of fun with it.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then in terms of the 3-way match, man, that volunteer at your own risk, guys. I mean, this is going to be an epic match, but whew, I just talked about, I think Nazario is one of the best players from the Fan Reaction League, and then we've got the best player in our movie league and arguably our second best player in the movie league with the best player in the Fan Reaction League. Guys,
Sorry, didn't
step up, but be scared.
That Woodburn already said that you were going to accept this match with another person.
Oh, did he?
Well, let's just say he did, for argument's sake.
Wow. I mean, I've never been one to step away from a challenge, but I definitely woo.
I'll give you time to think, brother. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think whoever you guys play, it's going to be a ridiculous match. It's going to be high scoring. And yeah, I'm worried. But I definitely ain't running. That'd be a lot of fun. Let's see what we can do with the men with
Okay,
one rings.
I just received a message from Nico. Nico was saying that if he can get a hold of his ladies, then he would be happy to accept the three-way match.
Well,
Ooh, ooh, that would be a match for the ages. The freaking Deadly Viper Assassination Squad versus whatever you want to call the Sons of Apocalypse and Nazario. That would
It's
be.
it's the full apocalypse with all three.
There you go. The full apocalypse. There you go. That would be a incredible match. I would definitely not mind seeing that match. Holy crap. Tim, Brooklyn, you guys got anything to say?
Wow, what the fuck just happened? I mean, Grant kind of took a siesta there, just a little kind of a couple days to kind of ponder some stuff, and then wow, coming into the bang. I mean, first of all, challenging his partner, I think is pretty ballsy. I think that's a super entertaining match, and then to be like, yeah, I'm taking the number one contender, Nazario. Any three people can hop in. I think this would be a good opportunity if the Nico thing doesn't go through. I think it would be kind of interesting to see a rematch of the championship. You see, maybe you have Jeremy Adams Jeremy Adams, Sandy Robinson, and maybe like a chance, maybe like a Full Metal versus Jack of all Trivia guys. I think that would be pretty cool.
So you mean a slaughter? That's all right. I'm happy with that.
Slaughter.
Yeah.
Woo!
Right.
Yes,
Jack
indeed.
of all trivia, made all the way. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, guys, I haven't heard back from Taylor. I feel like her phone might have died or something, or I don't know. She's not reading active in our communications. So I do want to thank her for being on here. Unfortunately, with communication troubles or whatnot. Once I figure out more, I'll let you guys know. Unfortunately, pretty well all the questions that were asked were essentially for her. But the questions, I had a couple here just in case things did happen. With today being St. Patrick's Day, I want to ask the panel, what is your favorite drink? And if you don't drink, what is your favorite movie that heavily features drinking? I want to go to our champion first, Grant. If you can answer both, or you can answer one, I'm not picky.
I would like to say it would be a Guinness, my brother. I love me Guinness. So,
sorry. I asked what was our favorite drink, not our favorite meal. Like Guinness is a meal. It's just gravy with mashed potatoes on top of it.
That's exactly right.
Don't be ridiculous.
A Q is just
a fantastic
hunger
drink.
all in one. It's the best ever. No, Guinness is my my favorite. My favorite Irish drink we'll go with. Apart from that, like if it's alcoholic, I assume it's Irish to deal with in the beginning. Like, you know, I don't know if Ireland invented alcohol, but I've got to assume that they did. I mean, they perfected it. We'll go with that. So anything and everything. Dealy-dee, potatoes.
Potatoes.
All right, Tim, favorite drink or favorite movie that heavily features drinking?
Well, before I cover that, as the one with Irish and Scottish descent here,
I don't have Irish, but I'm heavily Scottish.
Well,
that's just because your alcohol content.
Yeah.
To the Aussies' little comments there, we didn't invent alcohol. The potato Irish famine was a very serious part of our history. And it would be for St. Paddy's Day, if you're going to properly drink right on it, you can't just have a normal Guinness. Granted, a nice warm Guinness is great. you gotta go with a car bomb. If you're gonna have a holiday where you're gonna get smashed, do it right
Yes,
with a car bomb.
I agree, Tim. Our people are on the same thing. Also, Gregory comes from McGregor. We are Irish, but we only have very cold stout here because everything else in the country is boiling hot. So every liquor that we have is essentially ice cold. So that's why we go with Guinness.
And probably a favorite movie of it, because I'll do both, would have to be Swingers. I mean, come on. Swingers is just great anyways.
Yeah. Caleb, over to you.
Okay. Favorite drink. I mean, just generally, like my go-tos are kind of like it would be Guinness and Jameson. So basically, your car bomb, your Irish car bomb, just deconstructed and without the like girly cream stuff. So those are definitely my go-to drinks, just in general, not even just on St. Patty's Day. I love Jameson. I think I can drink it like a fish, and that's why I don't drink anymore. So there's that. And in terms of movies, I don't know, man. There's a lot. I'm inclined just to say the Boondock Saints, just because there's a lot of drinking and they're Irish, and it happens on St. Patty's Day, or at least parts of it do. So.
And it has Billy Connolly in it.
It sir does.
Yeah.
Dividasachi Amida Patri.
Et fili et santi.
So to answer that question myself, I can't really think of a movie that features heavily drinking that would be considered a favorite. But my go-to drink right now is definitely rye or Scotch on the rocks. But if I had to pick beer, it is a particular blend of beer from Nova Scotia. It is a 60% Garrison's Nut Brown Lager and 40% raspberry wheat ale. This is otherwise known as a PB&J beer, and it is fucking delicious. And in the chat, I was gladly reminded of a movie that I will now put as my favorite movie featuring drinking. That is The World's End. I fucking love that movie.
Oh, come on. All 12. I forgot about that one. Oh.
Yeah, The World's End is a pretty good movie. Thank you, Jonathan Peck, for the reminder that movie existed.
Technically, he didn't make all of them either.
No.
No. All right. So there was a question here from Nazario that wasn't directed to Taylor, but I think would be kind of pretty interesting. He asks, if we are actually getting a Detective Pikachu movie, would we ever get a Professor Layton movie, and who would you cast as Layton?
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, say that again. I missed what you
said.
So
Nazario asks us, if we are actually getting a Detective Pikachu movie, would we ever get a Professor Layton movie, and who would you cast?
Is that Detective Pikachu? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's off of video
Detective.
Game.
Okay.
Yeah, Detective Pikachu, and then Professor Layton is a video game that was on the Nintendo Mobile, Game Boy Advance, and the DS.
Ah, so after my time of playing Game Boys.
And it was an animated game, so it's more so who would you have as a voice. I think the animation style that they do would be great for the movie. I think if they went like 3D, similar to how they did like the Adventures of Tintin, I don't think that'd be great. I like the original approach that they had. I think would be pretty cool.
All right, give me the Carmen Sandiego rundown that I did for you.
Is that the guy that has the really tall top hat?
He has the really tall top hat. He's short and he has like a tall top hat. I think a good person to voice him might be like a Jude Law or a Colin Firth. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the classiness of it, you know.
Yeah.
He's got not that I remember, but I think he has glasses. Top hat and glasses.
No,
okay.
He doesn't have glasses.
I can remember the long top hat. That's what I can remember. It was a long top hat, and it was like a ribbon that went around the base. That's. Am I not thinking of the right person, or?
I'm not sure. I was a Nintendo person, but I didn't think the games were that popular. I could be wrong. Like they might have been huge internationally. But to anybody, like if anybody,
we'll see what the chat says then.
Yeah. If anybody's familiar with the franchise, does a movie get made, and who do you cast? Like there have been multiple games. I think he did a crossover with Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, that game, and I'm not sure if he was in a Marvel vs. Capcom.
Straight up Googling this because I have no idea who this person is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yes,
Nazario,
enthusiast,
so Nazario owns all 6 games. So I didn't even realize there were 6 games.
Oh wow.
If we were to go to like, yeah. So yeah, Nazario does agree that there was a crossover. I like if to take away Professor Layton, if there was a different Nintendo game that I think would be that could make a good movie, I would like to see maybe like a Raving Rabbids game or a Raving Rabbids movie. I think that would be kind of cool.
He looks like Caillou grown up with a top hat. Holy crap.
Oh, hi, Sean Sedgwick.
Oh, hi, Brooklyn Vail.
Okay.
Oh,
So you obviously got a link to the Hangouts.
Yeah. I'm just responding to my best friend, and yeah,
hi, Sean. I didn't know you were going to be here.
Oh, hi, Grant. How's it going? But no, I'm just quickly responding to the whole situation. On both accounts, let's do it. May the best man win. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay.
Holy crap! Wait, and he left. Wait.
Yeah, so just kind of in and out. So he accepted the challenge, and so that happened. I think Haven still has to get his blessing, but I can't see him turning it down. But yeah, we now have a potential championship match.
There's no proof that it happened, so I mean, yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. All right, yeah, I think we're like an hour 45. I think this would be a good time to call it a day. I want to thank everybody for I want to thank everybody for joining us on the panel. Of course, Taylor Robinson. I wish she could have been on a little bit longer. But catch her on anything that she does. Of course, with her reactions and stuff, I'm sure they're posted on the Showdown, or just find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that kind of stuff.
Also, the Finally Tailored Facebook page.
Yes.
Finally Tailored, her fan page on Facebook.
Yeah. So to our champion, who kind of just joined us last minute, where can the cool kids of the world find you?
They can find me anywhere where there's good trivia going on. So Jack of all trivias when it comes to any versions of it, and catch me on Facebook.
All right. To our producer today, the man behind the scenes, Timothy T.M. Smith, where can the cool kids of the world find you?
Same with Jack of all trivia, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Comment, like, subscribe, retweet, all that good stuff. Helps us get quality matches and products out to you, the fans. That's where you can find me.
Yeah. To our Mr. Mashed Potatoes, Caleb H. Where can the good kids of the world find you?
You can find me being very confused about what's going on right here on this video, and you can also watch watch Jack of all Trivia. What the fuck am I saying? You can find me on Facebook, Caleb H, or on Twitter at the Caleb Hansen. I still don't tweet that much, but I've retweeted Jack of all Trivia, so you can at least watch that.
So you have, my man.
Yeah.
All right, and
also check out Grant and Gregory's Comic Book League. Don't forget about that. That's awesome. He does awesome work over there. And yeah, check out my band, The Beta Waves. We got new music coming soon.
And last but certainly not least, I am Brooklyn Vail, the Black Lantern, your host for this show, The Weekend Rewind. Thanks everybody for joining us in the chat. I know this is kind of crazy. I was not expecting a challenge from Grant, and then for Sean to hop in and to accept it. This was crazy. It was good. It was random, kind of like how the show was. This show was a last minute deal, and here we are now doing it weekly. We got late to the party. We got Taylor Robinson. We're legit. We're a thing now. So once again, So with that, I'm going to echo everybody. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. Get in the league if you want a match. We'll get you one as soon as we can. Follow me on Twitter at follow me on Instagram at BrookieB10, on Twitter at TheRealBK10. Also, if you are in Prince Edward Island, in about 3 hours' time, I'm going to be playing at the Holy Cow with my dad and my brother. We're going to be playing all the good tunes from 8 until 11. Exciting for me. The first time I've had a gig in over a year, so I think that's gonna be pretty cool. Cheers, guys. Peace out. And once again, as always, drive safely and drink responsibly to anybody drinking tonight.